Hey, it's Mrs. Golding. I'm in your math packet on page 8, problem 1. All right, so have you been doing a lot of baking at home? I have been doing a lot of baking. I've been making cookies. I've been making homemade bread every other day, 3 loaves every other day, because I have my 4 kids, my husband, and then we live with my mom and dad to care for them. So there's 8 people. We're going through a lot of food. But I'm trying not to go to the store, so I'm making stuff. So it's a lot. In this recipe, these are for sugar cookies, and I don't usually make sugar cookies. I usually make chocolate chip cookies. Made some oatmeal cookies. I made some snickerdoodles the other day. My kids hate raisins in their oatmeal cookies, but once in a while I throw in a dried cranberry. This recipe calls for sugar cookies. Now, I found a sugar cookie I looked at different recipes, and all of the recipes I found had a kind of like this ratio. So 1 cup of sugar for 3 cups of flour. And so they were all similar to that, 1 to 3. But this recipe that we're given in our math problem says 1 cup of sugar for every 2 cups of flour. So right here, 1 cup of sugar for every 2 cups of flour. And then it asks us all these questions about it. And the first question says, use the ratio to complete the table. So let's do that first. Okay, so I'm going to use red. It gives us this in the problem, 1 cup of sugar for every 2 cups of flour, right? We can finish that. Where's another one like that? 1 to 2, 8 to, how about 16? Is that right? This looks like a fraction. Every ratio is a fraction. 1 over 2 is a half, right? 1 over 2 is a half. 8 over 16 is that same ratio of a half. How could I make, if these are all vinculums, and these are really all fractions because every ratio is a fraction, right? Every numerator here is the sugar. Every denominator is the flour. Would this be a 3? This would be a 5. What would the last one be? Yep, a 10. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? So I wonder how these cookies will come out since every real recipe is a ratio of 1 to 3. Maybe these would be, I wonder if they'd be softer or they'd be crispier. I don't know. Try it. If you know the number of cups of sugar, so up here we knew the sugar, right here we knew the sugar. So how did we determine the flour, right? If we knew the sugar, we took that sugar and we did what with it? We took that sugar and we did what with it? We multiplied it times 2, didn't we? So this question B, if we want to know the flour, and we know the sugar, we take that sugar and we multiply it times 2. I usually, like how you say your name is Johnny Appleseed. You don't say Appleseed Johnny, right? You don't say your last name first. So same thing when I'm writing this expression, 2s is usually what we say instead of s2, but it's the same thing, right? Because of the commutative property. So this would be the equation I would use to find, this is what I'm trying to find, the amount of flour, and if I knew the sugar. If I know the flour, part C says, how can you determine the cups of sugar? So again, I'm trying to find the sugar, and I know the flour, right? What did I do? I just took that flour and I divided it by 2. So that vinculum tells me to divide. I could have written it like this. My sugar is my flour divided by 2, right? Interestingly, in this equation, right here, the flour is the dependent variable. And in this one, the sugar is the dependent variable. The flour depends on the sugar here. And this one, the sugar depends on the flour. So it kind of reverses.